Undercover's site, it's different. Designing a website wasn't enough for Jun Takahashi. He had to build a stage to make sure everything was set. From reviewing and studying Undercover's website, I came up with something called the myth build formula that you guys can use on your own site today, and it's simple. But before we get into this formula, let's just get right into it. As I'm scrolling through the home page, I noticed something instantly different. Most brands throw product grids in your face right away, meaning rows of t-shirts, a few banners, maybe a sales sign, 40% off, 20% off, whatever they doing. But Undercover takes a different approach. The homepage is designed like a story, not a storefront. Before you even think about buying something, you're pulled into Jun Takahashi's world. The visuals are cinematic, the typography is sharp, and the homepage acts less like a store and more like a portal into the man's world. It reads like a storyboard, big editorial titles, which leads with the ideals first and then the shopping second. So the very first interaction is what season or what world are we in. You see the specific season gates right up front. Men 2025 autumn winter collection shop. Also women 2025 pre-fall collection shop. And even a direct link to women 2026 spring and summer look photos. One scroll and the site is already telling you which chapters are live, what collaborations matters, and where to view the look imagery before you even select a section. The design leads with concept imagery and handpicked links rather than an all products wall on purpose. Functionally, this specific choice trains behavior. You enter through story-led doors, season collab, lookbooks by collection theme. This results in a brand on tone that's unusual for e-commerce in Undercover's creative world before it ever asks you to add an item to the cart. If you're building or are planning to build a site, position your upcoming release on the home page as primary entry points. Try to elevate true moments like a collab that's coming up to the same level that you're on, and link photos that make your brand stand out and show your values and what you represent. You have to make the first scroll sell a world of your brand and not justify a price. That's exactly how this homepage earns attention without shouting. Scrolling deeper into the site, what jumps out immediately is how global friendly the design feels. The first thing to me that signals built for a global fan base is the language switcher on the website. And as you can see on the screen now, it says Japanese, English, Korean, simplified Chinese, and traditional Chinese. No half translations. The same experience travels across languages. Think about that. Menus, collection titles, and the entire copies in the body section carries the brand's voice cleanly, so a user in Japanese sees the same story and structure as a user in English. How genius is this? This type of consistency is why the site feels premium before you even hit the shop button. The interface stays on brand code, which is minimal and has plenty of negative space. Of course, there's image first layouts, which is important for any site in the year we live in today, but what impressed me is the predictable navigation. It reads like a curated gallery, not a cluttered catalog from Scarcity. Buttons, headers, and product components repeat the same patterns across pages and languages. So once you learn the flow of the website, you'll never be lost. Fast to scan, easy to interact with, exactly what you want when the drop is live. Some of you play games, and this is a great analogy. The more difficult the controls are for the game, the worse the experience would be, and you would just eventually go and abandon the game after a while. And the same applies to websites. For this section, the takeaway is very simple. Make what you're building global without losing your voice. And speaking of global, look, most streetwear brands don't fail because of weak designs. They fail because nobody's actually talking about them. You might have 10, 20, even 30,000 followers on Instagram, but if nobody's mentioning you outside your city, you're stuck. And that's the real problem. Followers don't equal respect. You can have numbers and still feel invisible. And this is why we help streetwear brands go from being local favorites to being known outside the city. This service is built for the brands that are tired of being slept on, the ones ready to get their name moving, talked about, and recognized beyond their block. If your brand already holds weight at home, but you're ready to be talked about outside your city, this is your shot. Sign up for our community strategy service to get your brand specifically positioned into another region. Hit the link in the description below because we only work with 4 brands per quarter. To get back to the video, Undercover keeps one design system, and to sum this up, the story is the same everywhere. The site still feels unmistakably undercover. If you're building your own website, this is the bar for these first two sections, alright? One world, one interface, multiple languages, but most importantly, zero confusion. When you click on the history of use section, you're not just scrolling a random about page. It's like stepping into a brand museum that sits right inside the site. The timeline starts way back when June first came into this world, which was 1969. It's like a walking gallery because the timeline is the founding of Undercover. In 1990, while he still was in fashion schools, it's also a huge turning point and is listed on the site so you could see for yourself, which follows the first Tokyo runway the brand had in 1994 and 95. As you scroll, you're basically walking through milestones that most brands would hide away in a press release. Here is front and center, telling the story of how the label became what it is today. The timeline doesn't just stop at early days. It documents their debut at Passion Paris Week in 2002 to 2003, and all the key collabs and exhibitions which shaped the brand's reputation is also listed in it as well. It's rare to see a label show biography and commerce so tightly together. Every detail you see adds weight to the shopping experience. It's like you're not just buying a jacket, but buying into decades of the history and credibility. This is the genius of Undercover's web design. By putting their brand's heritage inside the shopping flow, they turn context into culture. It's not about them selling the clothes, but more about them archiving a movement that you will eventually be a part of when you purchase it. This builds trust. The more you learn about June's journey, the more inevitable it feels that his product belongs in your world too. When most brands say collections, they mean clothes. Let's be honest. Undercover flips this completely. On the collections and special sections, you can see these aren't just racks and jackets of tees. It's catalogs of cross projects that stretch way beyond fashion. You'll find music under Undercover records, like the Can X Undercover collab, and even furniture pieces like Anarchy Chair. I like that they don't showcase these as just another merch section. It's a living archive of everything the brand touches, showing that their creative universe is bigger than just clothes. And here's the wild part. These projects aren't just thrown in for clout. They're organized as seriously as the clothing lines themselves. Vinyl drops sit in their own record category, signaling the music is treated as a brand section. Art and furniture get their own lanes too. Each project has a dedicated page with the same design weight as a runway collection. That structure tells fans that they're buying into the entire creative world that June is building. Most founders for fashion dream about culture building, but Undercover codes it into the shopping experience. The lesson is your website can be both an archive and a cultural hub. Don't just show products, show projects, collabs, and experiments, and train fans to not only see you as a label, but as a force with layers worth exploring. When you click into an Undercover product page, you'll notice something subtle but game-changing, and I love this part. Every item isn't just labeled with a catchy name. If you can see, it carries a unique code like UC2E1P94-1. This code maps to the season, collection, product type, and even color. It means that whether you're a fan, a reseller, or a collector, you could identify a piece down to its exact origin. A black jacket isn't just a black pilot jacket. It's UC1D1C01. It's a product with a timestamp, a lineage, and a place in the brand's catalog. And here's why this matters. Most sites from Streetwear treat their product pages like a disposable flyer you attach to a public park in Brooklyn. Once the season's over, the listing disappears, and your history gets lost and loses awareness forever. Undercover does the opposite. By coding every product and leaving that code visible on the site, they're building a living archive. If you own a shirt, pants, or even a collab piece, you can just punch that code into Google or resale forms and immediately trace it back to its drop. It turns each piece into a chapter in the brand's story, not just another item lost in time. That's why collectors treat these codes like gospel receipts of authenticity. Think about what it means for founders. This method is future-proofing your brand. If you build a system where every product has an identity that lives past its shelf life, your fans don't just buy and forget. This is important. They reference, they archive, and they debate. It's the same reason sneakerheads obsessed over Jordan model numbers. I mean, I'm pretty sure y'all be hearing people that say the Crimson 3s is fire, or the OG shatter backboards for the ones is lit. The code becomes the culture. You have to start thinking like this as a founder. And when your brand has that level of structure, you're no longer just selling fabric, but building a myth that people can revisit season after season. Most brands rely on chaos to drive hype. First come, first serve drops that turn into bot wars, if you want me to be real with you, frustrated fans, and even a resale inflation. But this brand did something different on their website. When a product goes live, the normal add to cart button doesn't even appear. Instead, it's replaced with a lottery entries option. And I didn't know if you guys ever noticed this, but to enter, you need an account and you need to log in. This step alone right here cuts out a lot of the noise, because how many people we even have the patience to do this? Everyone has to step through the same gate. And because the system picks winners through a lottery, fans feel like the process is actually fair. It's not about who has the fastest internet or the slickest bot scheme. It's about everyone getting a real chance. The other detail that sets Undercover apart is region-based gating. If a piece isn't meant to leave Japan, the site doesn't just let people sneak it through the checkout section, right? Instead, you'll see a straight-up message reading, "It cannot be purchased from your area." This is powerful, I'm not gonna lie. It shows the brand isn't chasing mindless sales. They're curating where and how their product shows up in the world. Maybe it's a collab that only makes sense locally. Maybe it's about keeping certain cultural releases grounded in their home market. Either way, this is Undercover using digital architecture to enforce the rules of its own world. Most brands let retailers or third-party raffles control scarcity. Undercover owns it directly on their own domain, which is powerful. The biggest lesson here is this system builds trust. Fans know the site isn't rigged, and they know scarcity isn't just a marketing trick. It's structured and consistent. Every time they enter a lottery, they see the same process play out. That kind of reliability makes people come back again and again. And from a strategy perspective, it's genius. You generate hype while avoiding chaos, and you reward loyalty without letting bots ruin the experience for everyone else. But most importantly, you train customers to treat your site like the only place where the game is played. For a streetwear founder watching this, you have to understand that scarcity isn't enough on its own. You need to control the mechanics that deliver it. Scrolling towards the collection's archive, you can see the men's lookbook going back to 2013 autumn-winter, and women's goes as far back as 2004 autumn-winter. That's 2 decades of creative history right at your fingertips. And here's the key detail. This isn't just a product list. Each season opens with its own theme or concept title, like 2014 Spring-Summer God Dog, or 2013 Autumn-Winter Anonymous Couture. The archive reads like chapters in an ongoing story to keep the legacy growing. By archiving every collection, they teach fans that each drop belongs to something bigger, an ongoing narrative that makes even past seasons feel alive, not forgotten. If you look at how most brands operate, they push the new drop and forget the old one. Undercover doesn't let this happen. They turn past work into living proof of credibility, which builds trust for every new release. Building your own site, you need to think about how you can preserve your past work in a way that still drives culture to this day. Even if you're not archiving 20 years of lookbooks, you can keep an organized log of drops, explain their concept, and show people the journey you had along the way. This way, every future fan you will have won't stumble into your brand code. They will get onboarded into legacy, even if they only found you yesterday. Clicking into the news tab on Undercover's site, it doesn't read like a store update, but more like a magazine. Instead of just new drop or shop now, you'll find editorial features, artist spotlights, deep dive interviews, even stories about furniture projects like the Anarchy chair. How was art integrated into June's 2025 line? It didn't just say, "Here's the dress." It described how its interior painting motives were printed onto a long gown using needle punch textile techniques. That storytelling merged right into the clothes right there. Do not do what most people do, using your news or blog sections as press dumps. Use it as a world building tool. A conversation between June and Double Tap's Tetsu Nishiyama wasn't framed as marketing. It was presented as an editorial piece. To a fan scrolling the site, it feels like you're reading an archive of cultural from the past, not just fashion. It's those extra layers that turn a simple drop into a cultural moment. And when big collabs happen like Nike, Double Taps, or whoever they collab with, they build an article around that, which frames the narrative of the drop. The result is that the news page becomes another area of the myth build formula we talked about earlier. The first part of the formula is belief. People won't buy from you unless they believe in your world around your clothes. And going through June's website, we explain how the belief formulated in one's mind as a user when you're experiencing the site earlier. The next step would be to guard your gates by using design and storytelling to hold the reader or user's attention to not make them leave the site. And the last step is to release payoff. When the product shows up, if you do these first two steps properly, it will feel like an answer they were waiting for. The website doesn't just sell clothes, and going back to this news section, you can see that. It sells a story behind the clothes. The fans can walk away not only knowing about a product, also understanding the art, the influences, and the conversations that shaped it. This is the difference between brands that last and brands that are just one-hit wonders that just come for a season or two. That's why Undercover site feels more alive than a typical shop. It's documenting culture in real time, and in doing so, it keeps fans locked into the brand's universe. So when you step back and look at Undercover's site, it's not just an e-commerce site, alright? It's architecture, mythology, and strategy all put together for one. Your website shouldn't just be a store. It should be the headquarters of your brand's story. Somewhere people go not just to buy, but to actually believe in what you're telling. If you could build this kind of digital home, one that sells culture as much as it sells clothes, you don't just move product, you build legacy. Alright, y'all, this is Lee from North Studios. Till next time, I'm out of here. Peace.